You are now listening to Talking Transparency, the podcast where transparents talk transparently. Hosted by Thea Ross, Melissa Luxon, and Cody Connor.
All right, welcome back to Talking Transparency. I'm Thea.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Cody.
On tonight's episode, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to go through what we've been doing the past couple weeks, what we're doing in the next couple weeks, and we're going to have a little conversation about the big looming topic in the trans community tonight, which is, of course, the Scrimetti case that is being, that was heard earlier today at the SCOTUS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I listened to some of those arguments, so we'll talk about that. But how about we talk about what's like coming up right away, which is...
Well, yes, I guess tomorrow we've got our trans family dinner. We're going to be at the Chrysler Museum tomorrow from 5 to 8 p.m. Everyone is invited. You can go online to kalescoalition.com/TFD to RSVP if you haven't already. Although at this point, I think we've already got about 50 or 60 RSVPs. So I think we're going to have a packed house.
That's amazing.
Yes, that is incredibly amazing.
I am so excited. I'm very excited.
This is our last one this year?
This is our last one this year, and we're actually going to be looking towards January 5th for our next one. So in the new year, we'll be setting another one. And hopefully we'll have one with the Life Center. We've been trying to get everything coordinated with them, so we'll have some more details about that either in the end of January or into February. So.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
And at the Chrysler, they are catering. The Chrysler Museum has graciously donated to the trans family dinner.
Yes, the Chrysler Museum has really stepped up. I really have to say that, like, it's amazing that they have helped us and they're reaching out to the trans community and they're helping create that safe space and letting people know, especially this season, that we're here. We're going to be here for a while. They've actually have Taste Unlimited, which is one of the local businesses. I don't know if anyone watching this has ever tried Taste Unlimited. They have amazing home-cooked, very artisanal and very rustic style food. So they're going to have
Taste Unlimited.
All the fixins, just all the spreads. So
awesome.
And then there's also the 6th annual Bake Off will be taking place at the same time. So while we'll have our own little private room and we'll be enjoying these delicious foods, we'll also be over there at right next door. There'll be the 6th annual Bake with some of the best, most delicious and beautiful cakes you've ever seen. Some of the best artists and bakers are going to be competing for,
Can we taste test the said cakes? It's
Yes.
a bake-off.
Yes.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be some access to baked goods, or there would be riot.
I have been informed that we will have access, that we will be enabled and allowed to peruse and potentially snack. I don't know if it'll be the type of thing where they'll want donations. I don't know if it'll just be open.
I'll donate for cake. I love cake.
Really? We need to set up cake at the table then. Apparently that's the trick. That's how we get donations.
I love cake.
It'll be a big end to like a big year.
Yeah.
Because the Callous Coalition we're just a little over a year old.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I mean, first interest meeting to this will be our 13th?
Well, I think if you count the ones we did last year, I think we're getting close to like I think this is the 16th Trans Family Dinner. This is the 12th one this year.
Dinner.
Oh, no, it'll be the
That's
13th
awesome.
one this year, of this year alone.
13th one this year.
16th overall.
And what that'll mean that probably this year, by the time we finish this dinner with these 50, 60 people coming, we will have fed 400 something people.
I think we are at 324 is what we had
So
calculated.
almost.
So if we end up with 50, 60 people, we'll be getting close to 400 meals served this year across 13 different events, which is really very good. And we're able to do it very economically. We've had lots of wonderful partners, local restaurants and folks. Obviously, when it's a family dinner, people love to cook and bring things or like to show off what their cooking skills are.
Yes.
And I'm very, very proud that our operations director, Ty, former producer, executive producer, I guess I should say, Ty, has done so much to make this.
The Ty.
The Ty. He's not here tonight, but I will say that he is in spirit because he is working hard, making sure that we have all the vegetarian and vegan options that are available. I know they just added a couple vegan dishes and things so that we will be able to accommodate everyone at the Trans Family Dinner.
Yeah. And I mean, Ty, so many people, but especially Ty and Thea, have put so much work into the Trans Family Dinners.
Yeah.
And they've really, in so many ways, become so much more than dinner.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've done them at different places. I mean, the museum, coming up.
I do love it when it's
really
at the house, though.
Yeah,
'Cause it's so cozy.
That's everybody's favorite.
I know, it's everybody's favorite because it
The
feels
pool
so
table,
cozy.
And it just feels so much like a home family.
Yes,
dinner. It really
yes,
does. And I
yes.
think everybody really digs.
Agreed.
Digs that vibe.
Yeah.
But it's been cool to do it in other places. It's been, really cool to see. And just since that first interest meeting not that long ago, to see just how that event and how the Kalos Coalition overall has grown and evolved and been able to do so much, just this small group of people.
Yeah, we just did our impact reports. We were doing all of our Giving Tuesday stuff. By the way, go to kaloscoalition.com/donate if you'd like to donate. But we actually gave over $10,000 to 13 different wishes we were able to fulfill for folks in the community. That includes things like fixing cars, literally getting cars, repairing floors, avoiding eviction, helping people with clothing, and other things as well. The list is growing as we continue to do more.
Yeah.
We also gave over $5,000 to other trans-led organizations and partner organizations so that they can continue to do the work that they're doing. We did 6 workshops, including one with the ACLU, which was Know Your Rights workshop and financial literacy workshops. When it comes down to all the things, plus we did the 12 trans family dinners, and we've got one more here before the end of the year. Obviously this lovely podcast where I think, what is this? This is going to be episode 26, I guess. I said we're on season 2, so
Season 2.
Ooh, we made it to season 2. I feel good about that.
Oh, wow.
I'll take that.
because technically, our very first episode of this podcast was recorded in late November of last year, so we've officially crossed over into recording this podcast for a year.
What? Doesn't feel like a year. I mean, does, but doesn't. It's
been a big year. Yeah.
It has been a big year. Cody ran for office. I mean, I didn't, but I was.
No, you ran all the people in office. You just ran them around. Like that's the way to be.
Yeah, I just really like yelling at people. It's fun. Not my candidates.
Did you say alienating people?
No,
Yelling.
Yelling.
Oh, yelling. Okay, I'm
At
sorry.
Politicians, it's my favorite.
That's me. I like alienating people. No, I'm sorry. I don't like alienating people. I really enjoy getting to meet people. And that's the thing about the Trans Family Dinner. One of the coolest things I found out, we were doing some research. There is a group that has started a Trans Family Dinner program out in British Columbia in Canada.
Oh, wow.
What?
Totally separate from us. We were doing some research. We were doing some Google search, just checking out the SEO and such over the past week. And we saw that there had been one that within the past week had just started it, just like a new website.
Trendsetters.
That's awesome.
And it really is awesome because we've always said we don't have a monopoly on the
yeah.
concept of a
No,
trans family
exactly.
dinner.
Yeah.
The more
and
that can happen, the better.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if they are listening, if they ever get a chance to listen, y'all are awesome. We love you. Definitely reach out. Let's see if we can't create a coast-to-coast network of trans family dinners because it is a sort of thing that we'd love to see these things happen more. And we have over 60 different people. We're going to meet so many new families.
I'm super excited.
Oh,
yeah.
So many emails have been coming in
about it. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's good. The community, it's clear the community is really
coming together.
Really coming together.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited to go tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's going to be a great way to end off the year.
And this year has been really, really impactful. I tell you, the past couple of weeks we did, what was it, at T-Door? We were able to bring over 1,000 paper cranes folded by our very own producer, Athena. She diligently worked her fingers to the bone, just bleeding, paper cuts all up and down, all the digits, just doing everything she can.
Did
to
my
spread a little bit of magic.
pterodactyl make it anywhere?
We still have your pterodactyl. It travels with us. It's a big one.
Oh, it's a big. You did a big.
And it looks much
origami
more
too.
like a pterodactyl than it does a crane.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
But I know we're going to have Christmas ornaments that we're going to be selling, hopefully to fundraise for these things to keep them going next year at the Trans Family Dinner. So we're going to have those each stuffed with little Christmas ball, little colored cranes. We've got the green and the red and the whites, and we've got the trans colored ones, obviously, and some other things. So hopefully we'll have those and just spreading that little bit of magic.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's awesome.
Don't mean to plug the sale stuff, but we definitely we got to plug that sale
plug
stuff.
it away. Plug away.
But no, and then also the other thing that we got to do is we got to be a part of the Transgender Information and Empowerment Summit a couple weeks back. We got to travel up to Richmond. Again, Athena came with us. Producer Ty came with us. We had our Heather St. Amand, who's been on the podcast before and is one of our directors. Our events director came up and helped us pull all these different things. And we actually got to shoot a documentary film. It's a really little short film. Melissa, you know, because you helped us.
Yep.
You let us borrow all the wonderful audio equipment that we couldn't take all of this stuff, but you let us borrow the microphones, and we're hopefully going to be debuting that next week. So that'll go live, and we'll be able to watch that. And it's just stories that we caught from people going to these different events, because it was an all-day event. They had name change clinics, they had individual workshops where they were teaching people about how to empower themselves, how to access certain medical care.
Oh, wow.
There were trans elders in abundance, just walking around, just being able to. We got some interviews with some really truly powerful people, and the advice that they gave was the type of advice that comes from experience, but also we had the advice of people who were very young trans non-binary folks who were like, this is what I'm doing, and people of different faith backgrounds. And I'm just really excited the way that it came out, and I hope that we'll put it out through Talking Transparency. So if you're listening, check us out next week. Hopefully we'll have another episode. We're actually going to have, I believe, Alex Wincoop is going to be on. So that's going to be very exciting. And then also you'll be able to check out that documentary.
Exciting.
And learn all about how to empower yourself.
I love that. I'm so glad it went really well. And then today in D.C., there was a rally at the Supreme Court because of, the Scrimeti hearing. But there was, I've seen videos today, which there was a lot of people out there in front of the Supreme Court protesting and making their voices heard for the trans community. And so that always fills my heart because, people showed up. It wasn't small. It wasn't like a small group of people. It was a nice sized protest out there. So that was awesome. I think that was fantastic. Now, I mean, I wish we didn't have to do that, but at least people are getting out there and making sure that the Supreme Court knows that as conservative Supreme Court justices, we expect you to read the law, and we expect you to give decisions that are just, and that we're not going to go quietly. Because y'all heard about South Korea, right?
No, what happened in South Korea?
Korea's in martial law. France's government is...
South Korea is not in martial law. Nuh-uh, because that guy tried to put South Korea in martial law, and the people were like, nuh-uh. Everybody in parliament showed up and voted against the martial law, and put the order, said no. And it like that. Oh. I mean, like that. It was that fast.
Well, that's good.
I know. And then what?
I said the French government voted no confidence, so they're in a wreck.
Yep.
And Germany's still in a wreck for the most part.
Yeah.
Speaking of, here comes the USFG. No, sorry.
Yeah. And then did y'all hear about the quote assassination today?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the good news. Yeah, that guy with that. There's a freed up $10 million salary out there, folks, for the CEO of the United. What is it? United Healthcare. Who his legacy will be that they deny 32% of their claims. Their patients. They just screw people over and get their stock buybacks and their fucking bonuses and his $10 million salary at 50 years old off the fucking backs of working people.
Here's the weirdest thing. When I started doing research into it, because they said that he was the CEO of United Healthcare. Turns out United Healthcare is one corporate entity within the United Healthcare group. And there is another CEO of United Health. That's why I was like, I searched. I was like, the United Healthcare CEO. I wanted to find out information about him prior to the assassination.
Right.
And found out that, it's just such a large conglomeration of transnational organizations that it's just one of multiple $10 million CEO salaries.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Never mind all of the dividends that they give out to their stockholders every single quarter. And they do that only one way.
Yep.
Literally through the lifeblood of people who they deny care to.
Yep.
And it's an overcharge.
Listen, if I was on the street, I didn't see anything.
Listen, I don't ever advocate violence, but I also feel like they advocate violence.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're in the fuck around and find out stages, man. Like, people are tired.
No,
People are sick, literally sick and tired.
That's for real. I mean, you don't survive the kind of life I've had without knowing when a situation's become more dangerous.
Yep.
And there has, because of the election, because of the validation of the rhetoric.
Yep.
And the people behind it, there has been a significant escalation.
Yeah.
There are people that are more empowered than they were before. There are people that are more scared
And more desperate.
than they were before. Perfect, really good example. If the circling jet will ever stop circling. So now I've owned a firearm for a very long time now. But I never felt the need to go get my concealed.
Sure.
Me either. Yep.
But I just applied for it this last weekend.
Yeah, I know.
Me too.
Same. Same.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. Same.
And that is because I can see where myself and my family are in more danger, and how the escalation and the validation of creating that danger is there. There's much more of that. And so there's a much higher chance now that when I'm out and about, somebody will feel like it's okay to come do something dangerous to my family.
Well,
Right.
it's the inevitable outcome when you have, like, I grew up in a country that we were told no one is above the law.
Yeah.
But
Right.
now we literally have a president who's
Who's-
guilty on dozens of counts who are just going to get away with it.
Above the law.
Well, when you have government validated stochastic terrorism
Yep.
That too.
with all removal of consequence, and that's
It's the disintegration of the imagined order, folks.
The social contract, if you will.
The social contracts are expiring.
It's frayed. It's ripped. It's on fire. It's smoking.
Literally, yes. Yeah, literally. So that happened today, and I'm like, the amount of no fucks given I'm seeing on the people posting about this is making my frosty little heart so warm. You know what I mean? Like, because I just feel like we're just so over it. I mean, short little story, I went to my insurance broker, my company insurance broker today, who has just been making money off of me for the last 12 years. And I've never held his foot to the fire about I just renew every year, and I haven't literally seen the man in a freaking decade. But I took a look at, I got my health insurance premiums for the company are renewing in January, and I just looked at it and I was like, I probably should. I don't know how I eventually got on this plan, but I should probably look and just see what else is out there and make sure that I'm not just screwing myself, or the people with good, coverage, if there's better coverage or whatever.
Sure.
So I go see this dude, and right away, within, I don't know, 3 minutes of talking to him, I knew he was a conservative.
What gave it away?
Well, I mean, he's in the financial services industry, number
Gothic
one.
MAGA hat.
I mean, it was when I said that when I told him that we pay 100% of our employees' health care premiums, and he looked at me and was like, "Oh, why? Do you pay 100%, not 50%?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Because we believe in our employees having health care. Because I believe that we should all have health care, universal health care." And he went, "Well, respectfully, I'll agree to disagree." And I was like, okay, ding, 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 Republican.
How can a human being say that?
Oh, listen, if I recapped half of this conversation with you, you would be like, Melissa, I mean, I definitely got in my, oh man, I definitely tested him for sure, and he was not accustomed to that. And in the end, I basically like got up, put my coat on, and I shook his hand, and I was like, "Hey, Stuart," I said, I just, thank you for taking the time with me. As soon as I find another, insurance broker that is not a Republican, I will definitely be, moving my account over to them. But until that time, thank you for managing our, company's plans. But I just wanted to let you know, like, that would, and he was like, well, Melissa, how does that have, I mean, can we talk about that? And I was like, sure. And I mean, so we just ended up, having this conversation about how he was just fucking stunned that I would just would even consider not doing business with someone, another business, because of how they vote. And I was like, that's the problem, Stuart. Y'all are so used to that not being an issue. And guess what? It's going to be an issue.
Yeah, because they escalated.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, excuse me, Stuart,
And
are you okay with like police going door to door and rounding up illegal immigrants in our neighborhood,
and
we're in our city?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
That's
yeah, but
different.
but he but the financial, and I was like, yeah. There's two kinds of people: people who vote for their wallet, and people who vote for people. I vote for people. You vote for your wallet, Stuart. That's the problem. That's the problem. And so he just couldn't believe it. And I was like, yeah, like, I mean, already as it is, this, I look at these vultures, really. I mean, I'm sitting there with insurance, like with an insurance broker, who has literally been making money off of, zero work. Zero. Zero. I process when I add and delete my own employees with Centera. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he literally does zero work and is like, but you would stop doing business with me because I'm a Republican? Yes. I said, did you vote Republican? Well, I have voted yes. I've voted both sides. I said, oh, did you vote Republican this last election? So caught off guard, like with such direct questions like that. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, yes, I did. And then has the audacity to say, Melissa, I believe in abortion. And, it just shows how much you don't know me, because I have my child is non-binary.
Oh, God.
And I looked at him, and
Before you were just a bad person. Now you're the devil.
I literally looked at him and I was like, you should refrain from tokenizing yourself, like you're tokenizing your child and tokenizing your supposed support for women, like because you have a wife. You vote against the very people you proclaim to love because it's about economics, Stuart. Like,
And it's not even about economics. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. Like, we're talking about someone who ostensibly has, like, is in, like, related to financial services. Like, his job is to look at numbers and to run numbers. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You should be able to understand tariffs, Stuart. Mm-hmm. Are you, what is
Stuart?
wrong with you?
What, literally, that was me walking out of his office. As I'm walking out of his office, I was like, yeah, and also I really do hope that my small business is still open thanks to your vote, because of how the tariffs are going to affect my small business in a couple years, Stuart. So, like, I mean, look, here's the deal. He's my broker on record. He has to, I don't give a shit what I said to him today. He has a job that he is obligated to do. and he will do it. He will do what I asked him to do today. And then I can't wait until I'm going to reach out to Harbor and find the Hampton Roads, the LGBTQ plus
Yes.
like Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, the HRBRO.
Yeah,
they're
HR.
fantastic.
Yep. So to find someone that can handle, like, because I literally all I need is a broker change. But anyways, that was my little
Do you know what-
short story.
Well, we could talk about this off podcast, but I might know somebody.
Okay. All right. Good. But anyways, so yeah, so fuck insurance people right now. I don't like it's a mess. So what else has happened? Sarah McBride.
Oh goodness, yes. We were
Yes.
off last week, so we didn't get a chance
We
to talk
didn't
about.
get a chance to talk about that.
But it's a great segue from talking about Stewart, who voted, Republican despite having a non-binary child. There is a cognitive dissonance for a lot of Republicans that they don't understand that what we're really talking about is equal protection. To bring it back to Scrimeti, which is a very broad topic, but it's also like they're going to make Sarah McBride the whipping girl, the example.
Yeah.
They're going to try to humiliate and denigrate and take everything they can away from her. And I have mixed feelings because I saw how people responded on the left. When she was her little statement. Did you see her statement? And she's come out publicly and talked about it a couple times at this point where she's like, I'm not here to focus on bathrooms. I'm here to focus on issues that Delawareans care about. Very centrist, very like, I'm not going to fight this fight. And that's pissed off a lot of people. People want a hero. They want a warrior. But to quote Homer, show me a hero and I'll show you a tragedy. The reason why they're playing this game is because they understand they can censure her. They can give rules violations. They can stack that up and try to strip her of her seat and of her power.
Absolutely.
And they know that every single time that they distract from her actually being able to like give constructive input or all these other different things, they're going to problematize her to those moderate voters who may or may not be like, well, I think we just don't want to deal with this issue with our representative. And that's what she's trying to fight for because she wants to take power.
Right.
I see it as like we need to give her grace.
Right.
Because disgrace is being heaped upon her shoulders. They're trying to disgrace her, so we have to dig deep and understand that she's not going to come out and fight every single battle. She has to pick those battles now.
It's the
Yeah,
same as
you
I
have to
look.
keep her goal
yeah,
in mind.
she does. Yeah,
and
not cut off her nose to
accomplish what she
spite her
can
face.
accomplish and not spend all of her energy fighting their fight, which is exactly what they want. They
Well,
want
it's Obama. It was the
everything-
same thing with Barack Obama, right? He, as the first black president, coming
they
in.
wanted everything to be about
Yep.
that, and that's what they're doing to her. They want
That's
everything to be about her being transgender,
That's right.
and not about her being a good representative that was elected
By the people.
by the people to represent the people of Delaware, and their interests. And I actually think it's stronger of her to not play into that game.
I
I know that everybody would like to, this big stand and some sort of big display, but that's exactly what they want. They want that prod. They want the blow up, because then they can just use that as more ammunition and invalidate. All of these things. I think her staying focused and staying on task and spending as little time playing their game as possible is smart of her, and I think it's harder for her to do than to give in to pressure from both sides to basically be this person that she probably even isn't.
Right.
But let's be real. Let's be the battlefield that she's on right now is every single invocation of her name, every time she speaks, having everyone dead name her, misgender her. But it's also, as much as hard as that's going to be, it's also a radical act, because every time a Democrat correctly uses her real name, genders her correctly, every time a Republican slips up and refers to her with the right pronouns, everything, it is a testament to her resilience, to who she really is, and also a testament to their ignorance and their hate on the record over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if they think that that's going to help them now in the future, if that's something that's going to be good, then they're kidding themselves.
Well,
but I guess
and
the issue bigger,
yeah.
and I don't mean to
No,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off. The bigger issue isn't just what they're doing to Sarah McBride, but the fact that Nancy Mace,
I was just about to say it's Nancy
she's
Mace.
going for all federal places of employment, all the different courthouses, all the different federal offices, and to restrict the rights of transgender people in general. And that's the sort of thing that, I don't know, that's not a game. And when you talk about someone like Stewart, who's like, oh, well, I have a non-binary child.
Yeah.
But you voted for that, Stewart.
That's
you
right, you
voted to
voted.
take away equal protection, to separate bathrooms, to give different water fountains, to take away their health insurance, to make sure that your child struggles to get employment, to get housing, so that they can be discriminated in their workplace. And now you're just shocked that someone would even remotely think to myself, well, I don't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
But I digress. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, Nancy. No, 100%. Like, my big thing is that this is all for stunt and show, because Nancy knows that Sarah and Nancy both have their own private bathrooms in their offices. So she made this an issue to make it just an issue to go into the federal building. Like, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, she knows that. She knows that they have their own bathrooms. Nancy literally did this for publicity, and it's abhorrent what I'm seeing. And just to think about, like, her pushing a bathroom for federal facilities, just goes, oh, okay, well, that'll pass through the House, and that'll probably pass through the Senate, and of course it'll get signed now by Trump. Like,
and there'll be no Justice Department to come.
Right.
There'll be, most of the federal appellate courts are conservative. There'll be no SCOTUS challenge. There'll be no way to overturn it. And we'll basically be stuck with, institutionalized discrimination and oppression of trans people. And it's something that is very real. It's something that we all have to contend with, that is going to very likely happen in different ways and forms. And we have to hope that the Supreme Court, who is hearing the Scarametti case today, who's heard it, is going to, over the next several months, watch this cruelty play out. And then they have to decide, is this civil society? Is this what the Constitution prescribes? Is this what we want to go forward? I have to hope that there are enough people that say this is not tenable. Because the other thing that really shocked me, we talked about the news that's come out the past couple weeks, is the potential kicking out of 15,000 active duty military service members. My understanding was that the Department of Defense said there was like 42,000 people that were short from the recruitment drive last year, that we like to be at full readiness. So, like, to kick 15,000 people out, it's not just hurting our readiness. It's not just hurting our military. There's all sorts of arguments about that. There's cost. I think there was some assessment of all the cost. It's upending thousands of people's lives. They're safe, but it's also sending a message that we are unproductive, useless, dangerous bodies. That even our presence as chaff for the military machine is unwanted, unnecessary, and bad. And what that forebodes and what that shadow casts over every single else is that not only are we not supposed to be there, us being there is a negative thing.
But the argument is literally that cutting 15,000 people from the military will make the military more ready because of the people they're cutting. That's basically what they're basing the argument on.
So we can't kid that they're devaluing us. It's something like, it's a part and parcel of getting ready to discard people.
Right.
Yeah,
Take away their health care, take away their jobs.
They're creating the perception that adding a trans person to the equation is adding a net negative.
Well, I mean,
to society, and that's.
I mean, the real scary part is that if you go on the stock exchange, you can buy shares in CXW. For $21 a share, which is private prison system.
Oh goodness!
And you can buy your little piece of slavery, because that's what we have, and that their stocks have gone up 64% since the election, because they're private prisons and they like to build private prisons, and their stocks again have gone up 64% just since the election.
Do I need to bring up the bounty hunting in Texas? The $10,000 bounties where they're potentially paying people for reporting trans people in the bathroom?
And I know they applied that to the abortion
in prison
too.
than the country of the free.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But you see, for me, it's also especially, it's like, oh, let's take a trans woman and force them into a men's prison. Aaron Reed did an interesting article and analysis on what actually happens through interviews and like research statistically to trans women in prison. And it's hell, because it's either 23 hours a day of solitary confinement to keep yourself safe, or nonstop
Or
rape.
not. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I hate to use just casually
yeah,
the word, but
sure,
like,
yeah.
it's also the shock of it is kind of important
Yeah,
in
of
this
course.
particular instance,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what we're talking about is like the utter destruction of people.
Yeah.
The devaluing of them, their bodies, their criminalization of them. And I had a conversation recently of whether or not this is a genocide. And I'd love to hear y'all's opinion, because I don't know what the threshold is. I certainly wouldn't call this a Holocaust. That's a very historical, specific term. That's way overboard. Like, but we talk about like cultural and social genocide, like erasure of an entire group of people, the systematic devaluing of them, and that is. I don't know where.
No, we
Where
live
it
in a
starts.
society
Where does we
right now
stop?
where our government, with clear support of a substantial amount of ignorant people, are basically trying to erase trans people's ability to exist in society. Everything from accessing medical care to literally being out in public. And it's not one of the most frustrating parts about this whole scenario. And anybody listening, listen to this very carefully. None of this, not abortion, not the attack on trans people, has anything to do with anybody's values. All right? When they stopped being able to motivate people to vote with racism at the end of segregation, they moved on to abortion, and they moved on to the LGBTQ community. And when they stopped being able to motivate people to vote by attacking just the LGBTQ community, they centered in on trans people. And specifically, they centered in on trans kids. And then they began attacking everybody related to them. All right? And does it have anything to do with their values or what they believe? It has everything to do with tricking dumb people into voting for them so they could take their money and they could keep control of their money.
Yeah.
And that's what it's always been about. And that's what it's about now. So just anybody listening, make sure you understand that this is not some moral justification. This is not some religious edict. None of that exists. This is about tricking you into voting your money their way, period, end of story. And they don't care if they have to eliminate a bunch of people to do it, and they never have.
That's right.
So just to be clear.
It's always about social and economic control. I've said this before on the podcast. I say it when I'm talking with people all the time. That it wasn't until 1952 that Loving v. Virginia was ruled, and that it was used to actually be illegal for interracial marriage, but that interracial marriage still existed. That those families, that love still found a way, and that despite everything that they're going to throw at us, they can take my name. They can put a wrong piece of paper. It doesn't change who I am. They can do all sorts of different things to try to dehumanize and humiliate me, but it won't change the fact that I exist and that I'm worthwhile, and that all of my transibs, they exist and they're worthwhile. And not only that, they're valuable and they're vital and they're unique. Because the thing about it is if you get to know trans people, like actually get into the community, there's hardly a group of people in society who have to fight so hard to find their own light. And once they do, who aren't just like overjoyed and wanting to spread it. Who are like, finally, I'm not drinking salt water. Finally, I can go like, and to think about come back to it, the 15,000 military service people, those are some of our best people. Those are people who, for better or worse, however you feel about the military industrial complex, however you feel about imperialism, American imperialism, these are people who said, I want to live a life of service, who have been highly trained, educated.
We've spent tax dollars on them to be in the positions they're in, and then they're like, we just don't like your identity, so fuck off. That's what the military is doing. Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's absolutely,
And
it's,
anything they can do to keep that vote train running.
yes,
That's
absolutely.
what it is. Anything they can do. If one thing cools off, then they bring it up somewhere else. As many bills as they can bring up, as much focus. I mean, how many hundreds of bills were brought up based on just LGBTQ topics?
I brought that up to Stuart today.
And trans topics alone. How many hundreds of bills were brought up about any other topic?
Right.
You know, it's and that's what it is. And it's disgusting.
It is.
And in the end of the day, it'll fail. No matter, you know, no matter how ugly it looks, it'll fail.
Yeah.
But
it might get uglier before it gets better. But,
and it will.
Yeah, I think it will.
It will. I mean, it'll get uglier before it gets better. And there are desperate people out there. There are. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. November was It was a hard month for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, losing the election was like a better thing than happened in the month of November. You know, just the amount of anti-trans rhetoric. I mean, it's how difficult it was to watch a football game. I stopped watching so many football games, something that I love, just because of the hateful commercials being broadcast
really
by the Trump campaign.
Oh, yeah, because it was all the anti-trans ads,
But
Anti-trans football ads?
during football,
anti-trans ads during
They are
football games.
so obsessed with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
before the
like
election.
Yep, right before the
It was
election.
right before the election. They did that on purpose.
But you know, the election and the ramp up of just them doing the things that they said they were going to do.
Yeah. People
certainly has
not
had-
believing them.
Yeah, it certainly has had a huge impact on the mental health, especially of my child.
Yes, of course.
That was very difficult. That has changed a lot of things and dynamics in our life very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, you go homeschooling now.
Okay, so you are homeschooling now.
That's one of them. I mean, increased mental health care happening now on. So, you know, then Thanksgiving was like a bummer.
Oh.
So my grandmother's had breast cancer for
Yes.
12 years now. She's been about 12 years now. And then, you know,
Yeah.
they stopped treatment, put her on hospice.
Oh, yeah.
And so drove the family out, you know, for Grandma's last Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. It's a bummer.
Yeah, so that was a bummer. That was how we ended November. So
are we glad it's December?
I'm a bit ready for December. I know I've been like, honestly, I've been turtling like it, and it's hard because it comes with this guilt, right? Because like you feel, especially with the way things are going, like, man, I should be making my videos, I should be doing these things. But then at the same time, you have to, you know, at least at some point, whoever you are, when you find yourself in that situation where you've just been hurt a lot, you kind of have to let yourself do that. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And so, but I am feeling better going into December, you know, and doing all of the trauma response things.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And going into the new year and, you know, just continuing to bring that fight up, but also understanding that there's whole new it's a whole new changing dynamic.
Yep.
You know, there's
a lot of not knowing.
There's
like
a
we
lot
know
of
what
not
to expect,
knowing.
but not know. Like it's like we know what to expect, but we also don't know what to expect because there's no guardrails this time.
There's no guardrails. How far can they really?
Yeah, how far can you really
take it?
Yeah.
You know, all of those things involved, and so you know, it's a dynamic that can change very, very quickly. You know.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're even preparing yourself for interacting socially.
Right.
Differently.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I am more stifled than I've ever been. Despite the fact I rant and run my mouth on this podcast, I do find it very difficult to communicate with people because they're so wild, because you said the uncertainty, wildly different levels of response. There are some folks that I talk to who are, well, yeah, things will be okay, including trans and queer folks. There are folks that I'm talking to who have already moved, you know, from Virginia, which is a relatively safe state. All things considered, not the safest state. And then there are folks who are, you know, freaking out, who are hoarding medicines, who are doing everything they can because they're afraid of being gulagged. Like for lack of a better term, they're afraid of like them knocking door to door and coming for them, or arresting them out in public because they're trans in public and being forced into a prison, or them having to flee. So there's these different levels of fear, and the uncertainty, I think, is part and parcel of what you were saying, the stochastic terrorism, because they want to encourage people to do the work for them, not just the aggressors, but also the oppressed. Many folks we're being tenderized, so to speak. We're being pulverized and beaten up, and it's very, very hard to watch.
Yeah.
The conversations I've had over the past couple of weeks with trans people, my trans tips, who are scared for their lives, for their ability to have hormones, for their ability to succeed, to be able to have their jobs. Statistic, I know we were talking very specifically about things that have happened locally and people that we know, people like people in your family, people that we love. But then also, like the Trevor Project said, that their reports of suicide and calls were up over 700%.
Yeah, the reports to crisis hotlines, the calls to their crisis hotlines up over 700%, spiked over the.
I don't think that a lot of conservatives are really understanding what they've done, because it's not just a winning. It's not a game. They've stolen hope from people. They've really. No one is coming to save us. There is very little battleground for us left. There is just fear. And I want so badly to tell people that it's going to be okay, but I can't tell them that.
No.
So I don't even know. Maybe I'm messing up in this podcast saying that, you know, publicly on a podcast, but it's scary to me because I want so badly to say we're going to be here. But I don't know whether or not they're going to persecute us for trying to affirm trans youth and trying to create safe spaces for trans youth. I don't know what is or isn't going to happen in the coming years.
We don't. And that's, it's an important thing to, you know, acknowledge that, that we don't know if it's going to be okay. You know, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's not going to be okay. We know that we're going to fight it. We know that we're going to survive. We know that trans people have always existed and they always will exist. We know that we will adapt as communities, as families. We know that we will do what we need to do to take care of each other.
Yeah.
That's what we know. We don't know that it's going to be okay. We don't know that people aren't going to be hurt. We don't know that it's not going to become harder to be in public. I mean, we know that it already is harder to be in public.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know any of those things. What we do know is that we will keep fighting. We will keep fighting for each other. We know we'll keep showing up. We know we'll keep doing it scared. We know we'll keep doing it hurt. We know we'll keep doing it when it's not okay. And we know we'll keep doing it until it is. That's what we know.
That, and one thing else I would add to that, is that now more than ever, it is vital that our allies show up in every single sentence and every single moment. In the same way we're talking about Sarah McBride and how the Democrats, every single time they gender her correctly and they use her name, they are, we need everyone in our community to be doing that. I need the local restaurants and businesses to put out safe space signages. I need us to get on the same page, because we're not going to have the state or the federal government or the Justice Department or the appellate courts or any people that are going to come and adjudicate justice. So justice will be found in those small moments. Justice will be found in individuals choosing to act correctly, to make the right decision, to make people live rather than die, to spread joy rather than hate, to turn on a light rather than to spread darkness.
Well, what was one of my favorite quotes. And I don't even know if Tolkien actually wrote it or if it was just added in by the writers in the first like animated movie. But it's something Gandalf said, and it is something along the lines of people think it takes great acts to keep or to counter the darkness, but that's not what I found. I found it's the small kindnesses of regular people that keep the darkness at bay.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
That's what it is. You know,
Yes, it is.
people think their life is about big things, that it's about grand actions, that it's about the big events. No, trust me, your life is made up of the cumulative decisions, the small kindnesses, the little moments. That's what makes a good life.
Yep.
When you make the small decisions well. All right, a mountain is not one big piece.
No.
It's 1,000 tiny pieces, tiny grains, and so is life. And understanding that you can do all your big moments right, and if you miss the small ones, you will have a bad life. You know, and that's what's important to remember, just like you were saying now. That's what's important to remember now is it's not in the big things going on. The way through this is found in the small things that we do for each other and with each other every day.
Well, like trans family dinner.
Like the trans family dinner.
Which is a perfect, like, circle back to the trans family dinner. Because that's legitimately where we're all going to be okay,
with each other,
be with each other.
Celebrate each other.
Yep.
You know, do the things that you need to do to protect yourself and keep each other safe. But show up for each other. Keep that strength. And anything else going in? I mean, I'm excited about the dinner tomorrow. I'm excited about all of the things that we have done. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things to remember. You know, we go back over that report that we put out for the end of the year. How many meals we've put out, how many thousands of dollars, and how much help we've given the community, and raised for the community, because really that comes from all sorts of different places, that money, and that work, that help, and being able to share with other organizations in the midst of everything that's been going on the last year. You know, as a small little group, we've been here fighting back, and that's the example of what we need going forward.
Yeah.
And we just need to keep spreading that message. Hopefully, there's more dinners in British Columbia and everywhere else that they could happen. And that'll be that's how we win. That's how we were always going to win.
Yep.
And if you want to help us do that, go to kaylescoalition.com/donate. I'm sorry, I have to do it. I apologize.
You have to.
You
We
have
literally
to.
have to.
You
You have
have
to.
to.
Because it does take money. It does take funding. You can also join as a member. You can go to kaylescoalition.com/membership to support us $5, $10 a month. That enables us to continue to do this work, to be able to fulfill trans wishes and to keep these trans family dinners going. And the importance of it is underscored by something we say every episode.
No, yeah, it's the most important thing. It brings the joy that will always defeat a hate.
Every time.
Every time.